चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करें और बेल आइकन को प्रेस करें हमारी वीडियो देखने के लिए।
There are dictators today in our history who have made people do wrong things because he was able to persuade them, because he had developed an emotional intelligence. So develop your emotional intelligence to a point where you start arguing in such a way where they will get converted and come to your point of view. We do that in courts of law where we present arguments by which the judge comes over to your side. So in order to be a good lawyer, you must have good development in emotional intelligence. And now there are several books which have come out on emotional intelligence, and it is worth studying that and develop your personality. Now, in the end, see, you have to live in society. And you must live in a society where you don't do antisocial things. If I start a factory and the factory pumps smoke into the atmosphere and I make profit, but at the same time the society gets cancer because you have polluted the atmosphere, that is lack of social intelligence. And this happens in many levels. So you have to have social consciousness that what I do will benefit me, but at the same time it will not hurt the society. You may not benefit the society, but your action should be so tailored that you don't hurt society. If I say that in history we have a case of where Prithviraj Chauhan's father-in-law, JAICHAND, whom Prithviraj always insulted, even though he married his daughter, he used to insult him. And he felt his pride hurt and he wanted to take revenge. But when he took revenge, he took it by becoming an ally of Muhammad Ghori, who came from abroad. Muhammad Ghori came several times to India and Prithviraj had defeated him. But after JAICHAND made an alliance with JAICHAND, JAICHAND made an alliance with Prithviraj, with Muhammad Ghori against Prithviraj, he managed to defeat his son-in-law. But Ghori then, first thing he did afterwards is to kill JAICHAND himself. And the whole country was run over by elements coming from abroad, the Islamic forces which came from abroad. And India became captured by these people who came from outside and looted this country. So therefore, if you had social intelligence, you will not decide to take an action which benefits somebody else. Godse killed Mahatma Gandhi, saying he is anti-Hindu. But in the end, the result was what? The result was those people got empowered in our politics, who then began making out that being a good Hindu is a bad thing. And so Godse's action of killing Mahatma Gandhi, saying that he was anti-Hindu, actually strengthened the hands of those who were against propagation of Hinduism. And we all became very, very apologetic when it became to furthering any cause of Hindus, even though 82% of India is Hindus. So each of your action has a effect on the other aspects of our society. So you have to develop a social intelligence. Supposing I start an orchard. When I start an orchard, I tell a friend next door, why don't you set up a beehive? Why? Because when the orchard blossoms, the bees can come and make honey out of sitting on the blooming flowers. So I have done something for my benefit, but I made it easy for somebody else to be benefited. This social consciousness also has to be develop. That's why we are all for democracy. Because in democracy, we don't take any action which hurts somebody. Violent revolutions always hurt somebody else and create a division in society. So this is another dimension of intelligence which you have to learn when you come into the real world. Finally, the fifth one, which our gurus have taught us for centuries, but we have now forgotten, and that is called spiritual intelligence. Now, spiritual intelligence is a very modern concept, that all knowledge is in the cosmos, which in Sanskrit we call as Brahmand. It surrounds the earth, and it is there in forms of in particles. It is in an electronic particle. If your brain is developed to the point that you can connect with those in the Brahman, then you will become a genius. This is what the rishis taught. That's why they used to do tapas. And they said the best time for doing that is 4 a.m. in the morning. Now scientists say 4 a.m. is the time when the cosmos is most active. So you develop this tapas, you develop this meditation, and then your brain connects with it. Today it doesn't look so fantastic. 40, 50 years ago it used to be fantastic when people used to describe this, when the yoga masters went to America and spoke on this issue. But today we know that a cell phone can connect to another place far away with no wire in between, no connection. So we now say, if you develop your neural means brain, neural Wi-Fi and connect to the cosmos, then there is nothing that you will not know. So if you want to do well in the exams, go to sleep at 9:30 in the night, wake up at 4 o'clock, and then do meditation for half an hour. You will be surprised how fast people are beginning to accept our tradition. Go to Google and type St. James University, St. James School. And what will you get? A description, an interview with the principal of St. James School in London, which is an all-white school, elite school, where the principal is asked a question by a newspaper man. We learn that you are forcing your students from the ages of 6 to 11 every morning for half an hour to recite Sanskrit shloka. You are a Britisher, you are a Christian, why are you doing this? So he said, I had done research on Sanskrit. I am convinced that if children between the ages of 6 to 11, they recite certain shlokas, Sanskrit shlokas, for half an hour in the morning before classes start, from the age of 6, every day, every year, till they are 11, then their brain development is the most superior. And that is why I have done it, and I've got the British Department of Education to approve this, and I think the whole world should do this. Of course, now we may do it in India. Earlier on, if some sannyasi had said, you do this, they say, Pagal, he is an obscurantist, he is out of date, he is living in the medieval ages. But anything done by the West, we suddenly realize. You will be surprised to know so many things of ours today is being decoded. Did you know that if you go again to Google and type NASA, National Aeronautics, not a space agency, NASA, and Sanskrit, what will you get? A reference to a journal of NASA, which states, which is titled Journal of Artificial Intelligence. What is artificial intelligence? Storing knowledge in a computer and then making that computer into a robot. You know, it may look with its hands and legs and everything, all wired into the computer, which is the brain. So the question is that how do you store knowledge?